Is what are the interests therein. Of course, this will be a very busy week as he forms that team. We'll be telling you the interests therein in the formation of President William Ruto's cabinet.
And indeed, now when you talk about matters of education, it is about a review and not the abolishment of CBC, as a task force is set up and is set to sit come next week.
All right, we'll be giving you details about that and so many more stories that have happened tonight. This is Sunday Express. Here are the highlights.
Kipchoge is a history maker in Berlin. Yet again, he has done it.
Trailblazing. Eliud Kipchoge breaks his own marathon world record.
I want to request you to pray for our plan, so that to those who are hungry, we can find food for them. And to those who don't have shelter, we can build houses for them. And to those who are sick, we can have a universal health coverage for them.
Against the odds, President William Ruto reiterates his administration's commitment to revive the economy. Enough is enough. Turkana leaders up in arms over spate of attacks in the county. And sheer determination. We'll tell you the story of Simon Njoroge, who overcame deafness to become a dental surgeon assistant.
Good evening, this is Sunday Express and I am Regina Manyara.
And my name is John Jacob. Kioria, sign language interpreter tonight is Ann Wangeshi. Of course, a reminder, 21 days expire tomorrow after the Supreme Court issued its decision on the presidential petition. It was a unanimous decision. Tomorrow, the full judgment will be released by the 7 judges of the Supreme Court. But let's begin tonight's coverage with the news that double Olympic champion Eliud Kipchoge has proved once again he is the greatest of all time after shattering his own marathon world record in the streets of Berlin, Germany.
Kipchoge, who was the race favorite, crossed the finish line in 2 hours, 1 minute and 9 seconds, shaving 30 seconds off his previous record, also set at the Berlin Marathon in 2018.
The 37-year-old has now won 15 of his 17 career marathons. It is also his 10th win in a world marathon major.
For the start. Eliud Kipchoge started the 42-kilometer race on a high, running shoulder to shoulder with a number of elite athletes, including the Ethiopian duo of Adam Lak-Belhiu and Adola Guye. The Kaptagat-based athlete set and maintained a blistering pace, recording 59 minutes and 51 seconds at the halfway mark. He had only shaken off his closest challenger Belhiu and maintained the tempo to cross the tape in 2 hours, 1 minute and 9 seconds.
He has done it again. This is superhuman. This is road running from a different planet here in Berlin in 2022. Eliud Kipchoge smiles for the last time. Let's keep an eye on the clock, just outside 2:01. Eliud Kipchoge is a history maker in Berlin. Yet again, he has done it. The world record is gone, and now he can celebrate.
Kipchoge set his previous record of 2 hours, 1 minute and 39 seconds at the same event 4 years ago.
I was planning to go to it with a 60-50, 60-40, but all in all, my legs were running actually very fast. And I thought, let me just try to run 2 hours flat. But all in all, I am happy with the performance.
Ethiopian long-distance running great Haile Gebrselassie is the only other athlete to achieve the feat in Germany capital. Another Kenyan, Mark Korir, the 2015 Paris Marathon champion, settled for the 2nd position, while Ethiopian Stadu Abate completed the podium dash. President William Ruto led the legion of Kipchoge fans in Kenya and beyond in congratulating the marathon legend. Ruto in his tweet lauded Kipchoge as the king of the marathon. Former Prime Minister Raila Odinga acknowledged the marathoner's precision and flawless run. Former Harambee Stars captain Victor Wanyama also took on social media to commend Kipchoge for breaking his own world marathon record. In the ladies category, Ethiopian's Tigist Asefa was the surprise winner, setting a record of 2 hours 15 minutes and 39 seconds, 18 minutes faster than she had ever run before, and the third fastest time ever for a women's marathon. Rosemary Wajir of Kenya finished second, and another Ethiopian, Tigist Abayechu, finished third. For Sunday Express, I'm Daniel Mwendwa.
Indeed, the 37-year-old Eliud Kipchoge, the man who raced against himself in the Ineos Challenge there, continuing to embody what we term as living life limitless. Now, President William Ruto has reiterated that his administration is committed to reviving the country's economy. The president asked Kenyans to pray for the country, and that he said he's facing challenges ranging from food security, housing and universal healthcare. The head of state, who hosted a Thanksgiving prayer service at State House Nairobi, said 65% of taxes collected goes towards settling debts.
Songs and worship at State House Gardens in Nairobi. An interdenominational Thanksgiving prayer hosted by President William Ruto and First Lady Rachel Ruto. Deliverance Church of Kenya presiding Bishop Mark Kariuki led the service, while the service was delivered by PEFA National presiding Bishop Dr. Moffat Kiloba.
Failure is not going to be part of our heritage or of our inheritance. We are going to stay with the people who are winning.
When he took to the podium, President William Ruto started off with songs and praise. He thanked the clergy and asked them to pray for the government as it embarks on reviving the economic sector.
We cannot continue to borrow from the savings of others. If we must borrow, let us borrow from our own savings so that we can pay interest to our own savers and we can build our country using our own savings.
On matters health and education, President Ruto said they have laid elaborate plans to ensure universal health coverage to grassroots level.
I want to request you to pray for our plan, so that to those who are hungry, we can find food for them. And to those who don't have shelter, we can build houses for them. And to those who are sick, we can have a universal health coverage for them.
Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua on his part called on the clergy to pray for him as he seeks to fill the shoes of his predecessor, who is now the head of state.
We have a difficult situation. Drought is ravaging people across the country. People have no food, people cannot afford food. Hospital bills is an issue, schools is an issue. And all this is in the hands of one man. He can't do it alone. God must come through for him. He who began a good work in us will be faithful to complete it. God did bring us this far to just bring us this far. We will succeed. Kenya will succeed.
We have a duty that is before us as the church to continue upholding this nation in prayer.
During the Thanksgiving service, the clergy took turn to pray for the presidency, the leadership, economy and peace, and later sanctified the State House grounds. President William Ruto has thanked the church and their leaders for what he says is praying them into power, but is now calling on them to pray some more, even as his administration takes on matters economy, the health sector and education. Yusufar reporting for Sunday Express from the State House, Nairobi.
Now let's focus on something very sad that is happening in the north of Kenya, where members of parliament from Turkana County say they will move a bill in parliament that will see people who lose lives or livestock in banditry attacks compensated by the government. While condemning a suspected banditry attack on Saturday that left 11 people, including 8 police officers, dead, legislators urged the government to find a lasting solution to the perennial problem. They proposed the use of special intelligence, technology and special national police reservists.
Saturday's attack, where 11 people were killed by armed gunmen and livestock stolen in Turkana East, was the latest in a spate of fatal cattle rustling incidents in Turkana County. It drew the wrath of all the 6 members of parliament in Turkana County. At a press conference on Sunday to condemn the attack, they promised to sponsor a bill in parliament to compel the government to compensate victims killed by bandits.
As a leadership, we are asking government to intervene in the following manner. 1, recovery of the lost livestock must be done.
I'm going to draft a bill in Parliament that will be passed in National Assembly that will force the government of Kenya to compensate the people who lose their property and who lose their lives.
They claimed in the past 3 months alone, 42 lives had been lost and over 9,000 livestock stolen.
When all these livestock they have been taken away by the raiders, these people they are vulnerable now. They have no food. They have no money to take their kids to school because they used to depend on this livestock. I urge the government to help them to get food, shelter, and also to take these people back to their areas.
They also want the government to screen community settlement schemes to flush out armed bandits. They say chiefs are better placed to identify bandits who live within the community.
Special NPRs are none other than the pastoralists themselves taking the front seat in securing themselves. That is what we are saying. And it has already happened in parts of this country and county, and it can be done.
The country Kenya has high-tech technology and intelligence. If the government could have utilized this intelligence and technology, we could have averted all these incidences that are happening in Turkana.
In the past 2 days, President William Ruto and his deputy Rigathi Gachagua have spoken tough against insecurity in the country.
We lost several people and several policemen yesterday and the day before in Turkana. We are doing what we must do as a government to make sure that we see the last of these kind of things so that our country can be peaceful.
For Sunday Express, I'm Ben Troy-Njue.
Away from matters of banditry now to killer brews, where 5 people died and another 5 have lost their sight after allegedly consuming illicit brew in Sianye village, Mbere North Seb County in Embu County. Deputy County Commander Batien Kantai said a post-mortem will be carried out to ascertain the cause of death. On Monday last week, 5 people died in Isiolo County after consuming a lethal brew.
While confirming the incident, Deputy County Commander Batem Kantai said 5 people died after what is said to be consumption of illicit brew, noting that the investigation into the matter has begun.
Kutoa hakikisho letu kwamba tutafanya uchunguzi wa kutosha kuhakikisha kwamba wale ambao wanahusika na kuleta pombe hiyo haramu area yetu na wale ambao wanahusika na kuuza wamechukuliwa hatua kali.
Mbere North Member of Parliament Geoffrey Ruku is calling on police and the county government to enhance surveillance in liquor licensing to nab owners of bars operating without valid licenses.
Kama umepatikana na makosa ya kuuza pombe ambayo si halali, sisi tunaomba bwana OCS, bwana OCPD, county commandant chukua ile hatua ambayo inayofaa ili watu yetu wasikufe. We hope investigations are going to be done. These people have information which is very credible because they know what has been happening here or within our villages. Once all information is correlated and is making sense, let those involved be arrested and prosecuted in the court of law.
Ruko also accused police officers at Siakago police station of laxity in the fight against the illicit brews in the region.
Please stop doing business of selling illicit brew in this area. These people know you are doing business. These people know you have enterprises, you have small bars here, which you are doing business with. Yakuza pombe, wewe mwenyewe, wewe OCS. Wacha hiyo maneno.
These, as Manyara North Deputy County Commissioner Ann Mitema, however, said a post-mortem will have to be carried out to ascertain the cause of death. Area residents called on the government to stem the mushrooming unlicensed bars that have led many youths in the area astray.
Sasa tunashindwa tukiwa wakazi wa Shianyi. Kwani tumekuwa namna gani hapa? Watu wetu tunapoteza watu mioyo. Tunapoteza mioyo ya watu hapa. Na iko serikali. Tunalilia serikali yetu tukufu. Aswa ile tulichagua ya Kenya Kwanza kwa ya Ruto ikuje itutetee na kukuja angalia maneno, kwa sababu wako hapa wengi sana, hakuna kazi wanatufanyia. Hata wananchi wameanza kulalamika sana kwa sababu hiyo hao polisi wote wa Siakago hakuna kitu wanakuja kutufanyia.
Beatrice Gatonyangetich, Sunday Express.
Now, all eyes are on President Dr. William Ruto to name his cabinet. The cabinet should ideally constitute a minimum of 14 and a maximum of 22 cabinet secretaries. Just who will make it to the cabinet? Kamcha Menza engaged various political commentators and shares their thoughts.
Gender balance, regional balance, the marginalized population such as youth and people with disabilities are some of the minimum requirements President William Ruto is expected to consider as stipulated in the Constitution in the appointments to cabinet. The big question is, who will make it to the coveted positions and what criteria will be used?
People who get to these positions and they also understand the politics and the intrigues and they understand the needs of the people. They have proved to work much better than technocrats.
Tumesema iwe both kwa wanasiasa kwa sababu mwanasiasa ni mtu ambaye amejua shida nyingi sana pale mashinani.
I would be happy to work with someone who has been in parliament because they know the law making processes, they understand the law, and then now they understand even when they're making the secondary legislation, which is policy, then they are better at it.
If you look at the composition of the judiciary, especially at the top, it will affect the composition of the cabinet. If you look at the composition of the Senate and the National Assembly, especially at the top, it will affect the composition of cabinet because then the seats have to be shared in a manner that is representative of the country.
Legal minds and political analysts opine that a blend of technocrats and politicians is more ideal compared to total politicians or pure technocrats.
Is that technocrats are naive, are politically naive. Therefore, they'll be summoned by politicians. They will not know how to deal with that environment. And therefore, the way they relate will give the president and the government of the day a bad name. A cabinet that's full of politicians. Certainly, you would expect a very disorganized unit, especially one that looks at politics or weighs more on politics.
Already, a number of legislators from the National Assembly and the Senate are said to be among those being considered for the plum jobs.
Possibility that one or two members of the Senate and one or two members of the National Assembly, the candidates are already there anyway, can be moved to cabinet.
As Marakwet West, we are rooting for the appointment of Kipchoge Murkomen as a CS because we believe that he has what it takes to be a CS in this country.
If this is the case, then by-elections in their constituencies are inevitable.
I think the bias right now is to pick from there because already we'll have by-elections.
Kenya's third president, the late Mwai Kibaki's regime, opted for politicians. In 2013, his successor Uhuru Kenyatta went for professionals before changing the balancing matrix in 2017. Now the country eagerly awaits the announcement of those who will form President William Ruto's kitchen cabinet. Kamchemenza for Sunday Express.
So who will sail, who will fail? That question is going to be answered maybe in the next week, and we'll be keeping tabs on that. And a question that has already been asked is, will Ruto retain some of the current serving cabinet secretaries? Well, your guess is as good as mine, and time will tell. Now, Kenyan Publishers Association has backed the planned establishment of a government task force to review the competency-based curriculum. Kenya Publishers Association chairperson Kioria says they have a raft of proposals which they intend to present to the team once it's constituted. According to the publishers umbrella body, public participation and sensitization of all stakeholders will be prioritized in the appraisal of the education system, which replaces the 844 syllabus.
On his inauguration day, President William Ruto pledged to review the competency-based curriculum amid mixed feelings by stakeholders about its sustainability and rollout.
We are all in a transition, and we welcome the new task force which is going to be put in place. And as publishers, we are ready to give our input to ensure that our children get the best education to build their future.
Kenya Publishers Association says an appraisal of the curriculum and implementation is timely. CBC, also known as the 26333 system, was introduced in 2017 to replace the 844 syllabus that had been in use for 32 years.
CBC is perhaps the best curriculum in this part of the world, and we know that it will prepare the learners for the challenges that inform the 21st century, and it is the road towards the first world.
The Pioneer Grade 6 class is expected to transition to junior high school in January next year, while the last 844 class will see the Kenya Certificate of Secondary Education in 2027. Kenya Publishers Association chairperson Kioria notes that for CBC to succeed, all key players in the education sector must be involved.
The country was very ripe for CBC, and the publishers welcome and resonate with CBC. It helps in terms of critical thinking, producing learners who are able to think critically, learners who are able to be creative and innovative.
And we look forward to work with KPA to ensure that we become partners in every of the book fairs from now onwards. Participate. We are not competing with anybody else. The books we're bringing up.
Kamau spoke ahead of this year's International Book Fair, which will kick off on Wednesday, September 28th, running up to Sunday, October 2nd at the Sarit Center in Nairobi.
And the Green Thinking Action Party has cautioned the government against reintroducing the shamba system in which communities living around forests are allowed to grow food crops in the woodland. GTAP party leader Isaac Kalua says the Kenya Forest Service lacks the capacity to work with the communities to protect the forests, saying the reintroduction of the shamba system will aggravate the situation. Rishoki Washira has a report.
Pale mstuni kulikuwa na shamba system. Wananchi wanapewa, wanalima mahindi, wanapalilia miti ikiwa kubwa wanaondoka. Mimi nasema hii serikali ni yenu. Tumetoa order, wananchi wapewe nafasi walime.
Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua's remarks on Saturday, September 24th on the return of shamba system has attracted criticism from a section of environmentalists. Green Thinking Action Party leader Isaac Kalua says the reopening of forests for farming activities will be detrimental to the government's target of having 30% forest cover by the year 2050.
That we have 80% of our forest, of our land in Kenya available to do various activities. And for us as a country to succeed, it is not to introduce food into our forest or crops into our forest, but in the opposite, to introduce trees where our crops are. This is the direction. There should be no fight.
Mukalua, who previously served as chair of Kenya Water Towers Agency, says the Kenya Forest Service will face an uphill task in protecting the woodlands.
I have been personally with communities in Masai Mau, where you go and grow trees and the community is carrying salt in the pocket. You plant your tree and they throw in salt so that that tree will never grow, but it will keep standing there as if it is there. Those are the Kenyans we have today.
The Jubilee government imposed a moratorium on logging in public and community forests in 2018, drawing criticism from sawmillers and surrounding communities. Yisho Kiwashira, Sunday Express.
Now, a section of workers, union leaders are demanding the disbandment of the Salaries and Remuneration Commission, claiming it's overstepping its constitutional mandate. As Zainab Said reports, unions representing, among others, doctors, clinical officers, university staff, aviation workers and civil servants accuse the SRC of frustrating negotiations on collective bargaining agreements between them and their respective employers.
Union leaders representing different sectors, among them the Kenya Medical Practitioners, Pharmacists and Dentists Board, Kenya Universities Staff Union, Kenya Aviation Workers Union, Union of Kenya Civil Servants, Kenya Union of Clinic Officers, among others, claim the Salaries and Remuneration Commission is unjust in its decisions.
What we have witnessed is an opaque body that consults no one and listens to no one. Its decision to suspend CBA negotiation on monetary gains and the proposal to scrap allowances have been made without stakeholder participation and is unfair to the Kenyan workers.
KMPDU has negotiated and agreed with KNH on all issues pertaining to the workers of KNH, to the KUDEA members, to the doctors and to the nurses. But SRC, in their own opinion, without any consultation or without understanding the nature of work that these workers are doing at KNH, decided to object and say there's no any negotiation that need to be done.
Backing Member of Parliament's position that the Lynn Mengich-led commission was using a heavy hand to deal with workers, the union have vowed to push for disbandment of SRC.
Sisi kama wafanyikazi wa umma tunataka SRC ibanduliwe. Itabanduliwa. Sika na kwamba tutaweza kuweka constitutional crisis. Sisi tunaweza kucollect signature zaidi ya milioni 1. Na tupeleke wapi? Parliament. Ndio sasa safari ya kuiondoa kisheria ya kuondoa SRC itakuwa imeanza.
We cannot continue languishing in poverty while we are endowed with resources in this country adequate for everyone.
The 2010 Constitution established the Salaries and Remuneration Commission to set and review salaries of state office holders in the context of fairness across the board. However, instances where the Commission has proposed a downward review of salaries and allowances have been met with resistance. For Sunday Express, I'm Zainab Said.
Solidarity forever, for the union makes.
Salaries and Remuneration Commission facing onslaught from unions and members of parliament. Looks like it will be a deciding moment in the coming days. Now, the County Assembly of Wajir will enter the books of history after all 30 ward representatives who served in the second county assembly were sent packing in the recently concluded elections. Residents are said to have voted out the MCAs following an ending wrangles between the assembly and the executive that derailed service delivery. The incoming team is bracing for tough times ahead, of course occasioned by the high expectations of the electorate.
This fracas that ensued at the Wajir County Assembly over the membership of the Budget Committee was just one of the many wrangles pitting the members of the County Assembly against the executive led by former Governor Mohamed Abdi. The saga derailed service delivery to the chagrin of the residents.
Ilikuwa maneno mbaya hakuna maendeleo, watu walikuwa wanafurugana, wanachochewa. Sisi tunataka safari hii tunatarajia kitu maana ambayo wananchi wanaweza pata faida. Kupishana hivi na hivi, raia ndio taumia, Wajir ndio taumia.
And when the new county assembly had its first sitting, all members who were sworn in were new faces, as all the 30 elected ward representatives who served in the second county assembly were sent packing.
Walikuwa last time hakuwa na development yote. Walikuwa tu 5 years imebotea.
But even as the new team took charge at the county's assembly, it was not lost on them that the task ahead was not a simple one, given the high expectations the residents have of their leaders.
We will be able to ensure that we're going to work with the executive on one hand, and also ensure that we legislate and pass bills that are relevant to the local people on the ground level.
We have taken our pledges for long during our campaign. Now we are ready, more than 100% to deliver those pledges.
The only thing which is remaining is work to be done, and we work for Wajir County people, only that.
Governor Ahmed Abdullahi and newly elected County Assembly Speaker Abdile Yusuf vowed to turn a new leaf in ties between the executive and the assembly to fulfill the campaign pledges.
We want them to, with speed, form their committees in line with their standing orders so that we can start transacting business with the assembly by bringing our budget to them.
There will be a very cordial relationship between the executive and the assembly. Ours is to ensure if there are bills, programs, policies that have been brought to the assembly that are beneficial to the Wajir, we will do utmost to ensure those bills and policies are made into law so that they can be implemented and they benefit the people of Wajir.
The governor urged the MCAs to put their political differences aside and seek a unity of purpose in serving the public.
We don't have a budget as yet to make the interventions that we need to assist our people. So we need to move with speed to settle down.
The governor pledged to complete the projects left behind by his predecessor.
Time for us to take a breather on Sunday Express. Before we do, a quick statement here, actually a tweet from the President, Dr. William Ruto, saying after receiving a comprehensive report on the Turkana Pokot incident that led to 10 security administration officers losing their lives, I have instructed security agencies to deal firmly, decisively and conclusively with those involved. Cattle rustling will stop. Nasio tafadhali. As a statement from the President.
Indeed. Tough talk.
Tough talk. And you know, today he also spoke about it in length, saying why he gave the Inspector General of Police and the National Police Service an independent budget away from the President's office, and that is to mean that now they can organize their own operations, but they will be held accountable for security lapses. And this is just it. Obviously, the President alluding to what is happening in Turkana, and of course, after getting the brief, he says he has instructed police officers to be on top of it, and he expects what you would say are results and ending of the banditry attacks.
Sio tafadhali. It has to stop.
Sio tafadhali.
On that note, we take a quick breather. We'll be right back.
Do you have a news story to share with KBC? Get in touch swiftly on email news@kbc.co.ke or call 0723-892-654 or 0734-780-124.
Oh, Grandma, when I need you most, you're in a different world. I would have wanted to get the advice of a grandma, of a mother.
Why is that?
How would I know? She has her reasons, but it's something, because she doesn't give anything for free.
Don't you mess with my grandson. You don't even care about him. You're only using him.
And I don't care if I do it, because he'll do anything I ask him.
So who's that woman? Do I know her?
Yes. It's Angelica.
The one who was working at the flower shop. I trusted you completely. You're the only one that I have. But I am telling you, I won't accept your betrayal of my family.
Well, obviously, you are not as crazy as I thought you were. I will find another way to gain access to your money.
Good evening. Thank you for making time. Now, today marks the end of this year's International Week for the Deaf, an annual commemoration to raise awareness and highlight challenges encountered by the deaf in community. Now, tonight, reporter Trevor Ngendo highlights the inspiring story of Simon Njoroge, a cyclist who, despite losing his hearing at a tender age, has beaten all odds to become a dental surgeon assistant.
Simon Njoroge, the sixth born in a family of 7, was born in 1992. It was until the age of 7, while in class 3, that he completely lost his hearing.
My name is Simon Njoroge.
It's Friday morning in Nairobi when we catch up with Njoroge cycling along Ngong Road through Lavington. He's heading to his workplace located at Riverside in Westlands. It is an 18 kilometers ride from his house in Mbulbul, Ngong, making the round trip 36 kilometers. Cycling for him is not only a convenient means of transport that helps him beat the traffic, but also a way to relieve stress and keep fit.
Cycling is very good for health. It is also good for fun. It is also a very, very good thing, and above all, it is good for mental health, for my mental well-being. I have an experience with depression. I have experienced that problem. And then I asked for help, like reading books, talking with friends. They really helped me, but I think cycling is the best thing to get off depression.
As we follow him, we notice the fight for space that exists between cyclists and vehicles due to the absence of cycling lanes.
When I'm going to work, we have different problems that arise. We have different challenges. Some road users use the road well, others are very proud. And sometimes you have a problem with big lorries and the way some drivers drive. Some people like hooting at me. Sometimes are always complaining, others greet me, others encourage me, others like oppressing me.
According to data from the National Transport and Safety Authority, 3,358 people have so far died on Kenyan roads between January 1st and September 13th, 2022, with 44 among them being cyclists, a number that would significantly reduce if more cycling lanes are included in construction of roads. The morning ride to work takes an average of 35 minutes. Njoroge is a dental surgeon assistant. He changes into his surgical wear and begins his job. Part of his task is organizing dental tools, updating patient records before ushering in the patient. The dental surgeon, Dr. Peter Muriuki, comes in, and it is here that Njoroge's skills are on display.
I didn't know what I was missing until I met Simon. There's just something different about Simon, even the way he assists me on the chair side. He's able to tell things that I also cannot be able to see.
Njoroge has a good rapport with patients and even colleagues.
Then when I started working, I really used to fear a lot because I didn't know what to expect. But my boss kept on encouraging me and telling me not to fear. He really encouraged me. He was very patient with me. And yes, he really helped me. So initially it was very challenging, but later on I got used.
Now he's a very unique person. He's very friendly to us. When I tell him, Simon, there's a patient here, so he's able to read my lips. And he just act immediately. He knows what to do after that. When it comes to, like, there are sometimes it may be hard or difficult to read, so I'll just take a pen and write something for him, and then it will be done.
For families with deaf people, Njoroge has a word of encouragement.
My family, I am the only deaf person. I am the only deaf person. And I know some parents who have some deaf people, and they hide them, they hide their children. Some even have started homeschooling. Now, if those children are hidden, how will they even find new friends? That's a challenge. They better take those children to deaf schools, and there they will meet very many different children and very different teachers, and their life is going to improve, and they live a better life. If they hide their children, they might get a problem and may not succeed in future.
Despite living in the world of silence for 23 years now, that has not silenced his ambitions. This is a story of resilience and hope, with Simon Njoroge hoping to not only inspire other differently abled people, but to also challenge the youth to never give up on their dreams, regardless of their current situation. Trevor Ngendo for KBC Channel 1 at Riverside, Nairobi.
And a family in Kianguno village, Kiambu County, is seeking financial assistance to have their kin undergo surgery to treat osteomyelitis. Jacinta Wanjiru says she needs 250,000 shillings for the procedure. This condition has left her stigmatized and isolated. Osteomyelitis is inflammation or swelling that occurs in the bone and is caused by bacteria infection in the arms, legs or spine. We caution you, some of the pictures may be disturbing.
Meet Jacinta Wanjiru, aged 21, a resident of Kianguno village in Gatundu North, who is living with osteomyelitis condition, the disease that has caused inflammation of her bones, leading to infection in her legs, chest and spine, has been the most devastating part of her life.
Ilianzia mapema, lakini mimi niligundua nikiendelea tu hivyo na umri wangu. Imeniadhiri sana, imeniadhiri kutoka kichwa, kiuno, miguu, alafu mwili mzima.
The disease sometimes causes a full odor.
Safari haijakuwa rahisi juu kwa sahi kupata marafiki wenye wako karibu na wewe ukiwa na hii shinda, marafiki ni wadogo, wengine wanakutenga, wengine wanasema maneno mabaya kukuhusu, wengine wakiniangalia tu hivi wananidharau, wanaona nikaa sina maisha mbele yangu.
Doctors have recommended that she undergo several procedures, including surgery, to treat the condition.
Mimi naweza omba watu wa Mungu mwenye kutoa kwa hapo, kenye tu Mungu atakubariki nacho, unisaidie nacho niweze kwenda Kijambe nitibiwe. Nilikuwa nimeandikwa 250,000, alafu nilikuwa nahitaji watu wa damu, watu watatu.
To support Jacinta, well-wishers can channel their support to phone number 0113272141, 0113272141. For Sunday Express, I am Jacqueline Masharia.
Further, you can get more details in regard to how you can assist Jacinta get the required medical services on our website. That is www.kbc.co.ke. Now, photography as an art is fast gaining popularity and is now being used in the commemoration of special events and occasions all over the world. Photography can be described as an art and the science of creating durable images by recording light. In layman's language, it is simply the process of taking pictures. Ethelinda explores the art and beauty of the practice.
Photography has been a way of life for many decades now. It is more than what meets the eye. This is evident by millions of pictures shared on various social media platforms across the world. Photography serves as a means of communication as well as a form of art.
Over the years, since the invention of photography, phrases such as "a picture is worth 1,000 words," "behind the lens of a camera," and "pandemic through the lens" have been written to appreciate and celebrate the art of photography. I am here today at Camera Pics, having a one-on-one encounter with images, extremely iconic images taken by the legendary Mohammed Amin.
Founded in 1963 by Mohammed Amin, Camera Pics is a library of photos taken over time documenting history unfolding. The cameras have evolved from heavy and hard equipment to something as light as a phone camera, from camera obscura to digital cameras. Here, we meet Abdul Ramadan. Having a vast experience in the industry, Ramadan explains how the then cameras were used.
Then you shoot.
So as it does that, it will be shooting.
Yeah, it's so now
as it runs.
This very day, almost anyone and everyone can't be a photographer due to the improved technology of smartphones with cameras. The order of the day: a smile, pose, and selfies. Through pictures, a message is communicated and an impact is made. For instance, the pictures taken by the legendary Kenyan photojournalist Mohammed Amin to sensitize the world about the 1984 Ethiopian famine eventually brought international attention to the crisis. Through his work on the famine, he not only touched the hearts of millions in the world, but also made people come to their aid. His work moved the masses and also changed his perception of life, just like making a painting. The pictures taken by Mohammed Amin at their respective times served as a means of communication. At this time and age, they serve as history. They tell different stories. For instance, the 1982 Kenyan coup d'etat, the coronation ceremony of Emperor Bokassa of the Central African Republic, and even the death of our very first president, Jomo Kenyatta. Today, these are not only pictures, but also art. How amazing it is to capture a moment, and through it, people relive it. For Jackson Nyamwezi, a digital photojournalist at KBC, photography is not only a means to survive economically, but also a derivative of passion.
The thing that led me to photography is the passion, and also traveling, going to Shago, whereby we visit people here and there. We visit many relatives here and there. Also traveling is one of the journeys that led me to like photography. Why? Because I used to take photos of nature. I used to take photos of people, maybe in a community, and also telling their stories. That's when I had the interest of taking photographs.
He takes us through some of the challenges he faces as a photographer.
The first point is that photography is expensive. Buying an equipment, it will really take a lot of capital, some amount of capital whereby we are able to purchase that gadget. Secondly, for example, if a photographer, you are traveling, you are getting out of Nairobi tonight, you want to go and take photos, for example, in Ethiopia or even in the United States, and you have an equipment. It is always an important thing to insure that gadget. That is, you take it for an insurance policy. Marketing your photography business, it's also another challenge. everybody outside there can say that, yes, they are venturing into this business of photography, yes. You need to advertise yourself. For example, you can use the social media, you can create banners, you can create business cards whereby wherever you go, you also share with them and let those people understand what kind of photography you're doing.
With emergence of social media and the trends that come along with it, photography has been a revolutionary addition to the advancement of human artistic expression. With just a button, a memory is preserved. That being said, heard and seen, it is with no doubt that photography plays a more significant role than we actually realize. Ethelinda, reporting for KBC.
That guy there, Jackson Munyamwezi, is the one who snaps the photos you see on KBC's social media accounts, of course, alongside another gentleman called Manyara. And a fantastic job they're doing. Azimio allied legislators led by Makueni Senator Dan Manzo and Navakola constituency member of parliament Emmanuel Wangwe have asked President William Ruto and the Kenya Kwanza government to ensure they deliver on their promises to Kenyans. They say they will keenly oversight the government and its fulfillment of its pledges to Kenyans.
Yeah.
The two legislators say they have started counting days against promises made by Kenya Kwanza during campaigns, promising to be a vibrant opposition led by ideologies and not witch hunts.
But we will not just oppose for the sake of opposition. We will oppose mahali amekosea. Mahali anasema inji endelee mzuri, sisi tutamuunga mkono kwa sababu serikali ya Kenya ni yetu sisi wote.
Watu wamenunuliwa huko kama mbuzi, wakaongezea pande nyingine, lakini tunangoja uamuzi wa spika na tusipoelewana tunarudi tena kotini.
Elsewhere, investors in real estate sector are exploring collaboration with the government to help achieve its target construction of 250,000 housing units annually.
There has been a lot of investment and crowding in the cities. This gives an opportunity for Kenyans to invest out of town.
People are looking for gated community kind of housing. They don't want to house by yourself like we were used to in the old days.
Meanwhile, the governor of Rotary District 9212, Azeb Astrat, has called for joint efforts by private and public entities in raising funds to combat polio globally. She was speaking during a free medical camp at Makadara grounds in Mombasa.
Please, let's join hands. We need partners, we need donors. We cannot sleep safely or well if we have a problem in our hands.
Elsewhere, farmers have been encouraged to practice agroecology to mitigate climate change while enhancing resilience in livelihoods.
Agroecology, basically, you form a circular system where one product or a byproduct from a particular process can be able to be used within the farm setup.
And two factions have emerged in the Iteso community over who should succeed Iteso King Papa Emormor Augustine, who died 6 months ago. The enthronement of Emormor Paul Sunday Emolot as caretaker has been beset by court battles. Beatrice Gatonyangetich, Sunday Express.
Right. Time for us to take a breather on the Sunday Express. But of course, when we come back, Richard Munga is up next with sports. Quite an interesting one because I see the South African coach called Pitso Mosimane, a very experienced coach, has moved to coaching clubs now. And will be coaching a club called Al Ahly Saudi. Maybe Munga has such
more details on that.
Absolutely.
In the meantime, Eliud Kipchoge continues trending on Twitter, the greatest of all time. They're breaking a record that he did once in Germany. All that is coming up in not too long. Do keep it right here.
nishige mo. Sitaki mchezo. Sikukwambia hapa ujoniletee mambo ambayo mimi sielewi.
Basi kanisa. Ulipata ajali ya kipikipi akili kanini? Correct. Umepata.
Mimi Mungu nimekuwa mingi miaka mingi. Nimechoka. Ningependa at least niweze kubarikiwa nikuwe na kamtu kangu.
Wapi pesa yao?
Wanasema mambo ya pesa waambie. Yule mtu ambaye alinipatia pesa yake, aitishe mama yake. Unanipata?
Oh, good evening, and thank you for joining us for KBC Sports with me, Richard Munga. And just to, of course, add on to what Kioria was talking about, Pitso Mosimane, the celebrated South African football coach, has been hired by Ahli Jeddah in Saudi. And most are wondering what is happening. But, then again, I guess every coach needs a challenge. He has been 3 months out in the cold without a job after parting ways with Egypt's Al Ahly, where he stayed for a period of 21 months, winning 2 Champions League titles, 2 Super Cups, and, of course, the Egyptian Cup. So I'm sure we're going to be hearing much of him now as all eyes focus on his new strategy. Now, on to a top story tonight, whereby national women volleyball team Malkia Strikers lost their second match by 3 straight sets to Belgium as the FIVB World Championship entered Day 3 in Netherlands. Malkia Strikers will face arch rivals Cameroon in their third group match on Tuesday.
Malkia Strikers lost their second match by 3 straight sets to Belgium in the ongoing FIVB World Championship in Netherlands. Belgium thrashed Malkia Strikers by a set of 25-15, 25-14 and 25-11 respectively.
That's better from Van Avermaet.
This was Belgium's second win after beating Puerto Rico by 3 straight sets. Malkia Strikers lost their first match by 3 straight sets to host Netherlands.
Lovely block.
The Kenyan girls will take on African rivals Cameroon, Italy and Puerto Rico in the remaining group matches. Malkia Strikers are in Pool A of the competition alongside host Netherlands, Italy, Belgium, Puerto Rico and African rivals Cameroon.
Ooh, well played.
Belgium leads the log with 6 points while Kenya is placed 5th with no point. Malkia Strikers will face arch rivals Cameroon in their third group match on Tuesday. For Sunday Express, I'm Kingori Mwangi.
The head coach going crazy out of your picture.
Well, a tough start for Malkia Strikers, but hopefully on Tuesday, a win against Cameroon can, of course, boost them as they continue the tournament. And, well, we do hope that they start recording positive results after such a terrible start. So all the best to Malkia Strikers. On to other matters, whereby 2 sisters from a minority community have taken up a unique career path likely to excite their friends and sports persons. Zulfa and Naima Ahmed Abdul were identified by Sekafa, who trained them, and are now referees officiating league matches at the grassroots level.
Zulfa and Naima were officiating their first friendly match between Nyakenga FC and Membe FC in the outskirts of Kisii town at Getembe Primary School playing grounds. Zulfa was a match referee while Naima, her younger sister, was the lineswoman, assisted by a colleague John Nyaboke. Zulfa, who completed her high school studies this year, was concerned by fewer female referee in soccer field and decided to become one.
Nilikuwa naona wanaume ni wengi na wasichana walikuwa kidogo. So hata mimi nikasema ni kuwe wa kwanza kuwa msichana wa kwanza, hata mimi nikuwe na refu ku games huku chini. So FIFA ikafuatilia, ndio maana wakanipea certificate na kunipandisha kwa hizo leagues zingine za hapo juu. Mechi ya kiwango cha juu ni Division 2 na huwa na ref regionals, county league. Ndoto zangu ningependa kuofficiate hizi games za World Cup, games za England. Nataka hata watu wa kwetu wanione kwa TV nikiwa huko America.
Neymar, 17-year-old, was influenced by her sister to join Kioria despite being a Form 3 student and aims to be a renowned referee who will officiate international matches in future.
Hii refereeing nilipenda kwa sababu niliona wenzangu wanafanya, hata mimi pia nikasema hata tu pia nijiingize, nijaribu. Naendelea na masomo kwanza Monday to Friday, alafu hizo weekend Saturday na Sunday nakuja kwa kiwanja. Mimi naendelea kuwa tu referee mkubwa, at least nitoke huko nje, nifanye kazi huko nje kama wengine, at least nionekane.
Kingori Mwangi for Sports News.
Also, Spain fell to their first home loss in almost 4 years as Switzerland dealt a blow to their bid to qualify for next year's Nations League finals. Meanwhile, Erling Haaland continued his red-hot goal-scoring form, but Norway's bid for Nations League promotion suffered after a 2-1 setback in Slovenia.
Manuel Akanji scored the opener for Switzerland in the 21st minute before Jordi Alba leveled for Spain in the 55th minute.